Welcome back to the Album Written Hour YouTube channel, the home of album reviews, discography guides, and think pieces. Or I should say, more like the home of the not-so-forensic record society, because that is what today's video is. As you know, this is probably the most easy series for me to get out at the minute, so I'm going to continue doing it because I like doing it. And today's episode is the first episode where we have a returning guest in the form of my good friend Mr. XD Cyndaquil stepping up to the plate here. And a bit of a backstory, we tried to film a version of this close to 2 years ago now, probably more, and for reasons that are about to become clear, it didn't happen, mainly incompetence, but we'll get onto that. But I think this one was a really fun episode to do because I realised that Cyndaquil is one of those people where even if I did a billion episodes of this with him, I would still have no idea either where he was going to come from or where I was going to go in terms of what I gave him, and that is definitely borne out here because I basically, looking at what happened the last episode that we did, which is a while back now, I was sat there thinking, like, what the hell am I going to give him? Like, what is the, like, because everything that I thought he might like, he didn't like, and everything that I thought he'd hate, he might have liked. And then in the other episode that we did that didn't upload, the exact same thing happened. So I was like, oh my god, this is really, really difficult. So I kind of ended up going with a bit more of a kind of, just chuck everything at the wall and see what sticks kind of approach, which I think actually was a bit more successful than I thought it would be. But I guess you'll see that in action in a little bit. And I think Cyndaquil probably went with not necessarily a similar approach, but I definitely thought that I had to get my thinking cap on a bit more because at least a few of his suggestions weren't exactly like conventional songs, like they were odd structures and genre melds and stuff that I wasn't really familiar with. So it wasn't like, most of the time where I could just go, right, the verse was cool, the lyrics were good, this, that, the other, blah, blah, blah. I really had to be a bit more kind of, I don't know whether discerning is the word about it, but I had to really kind of be like, okay, what are the elements that make this track up and how do they kind of lead to it being good or bad? Like, I had to be a bit more kind of, again, I had to put my thinking cap on a bit more. I think we both did, to be honest, because the selections that we gave each other were definitely a bit out of left field, I think, from both our perspectives, really. But as you'll see, I think it made for a pretty good episode. So sit back and enjoy as me and XD Cyndaquil take part in the 13th meeting of the Not So Forensic Record Society. Right, so hello everybody and welcome back to the 13th meeting of the Not So Forensic Record Society, and it is another guest spot episode, the first returning guest, in fact, in the form of my good friend Mr. XD Cyndaquil. So for those, obviously nobody will know this, but this video should realistically, well, A, it should have been episode 11, and B, it should have come out over 18 months ago, except the problem is I'm a big brainlet stupid brain, because basically we recorded the first bit and then recorded like half of the second bit, had to restart the Zoom call, and then because I'm big dumb, I forgot to hit the fucking record button. So we ended up with that episode kind of stranded in limbo for ages. And we tried different ways of like making it work, but none of it was just panning out. So now finally we're here back again to do it properly, partially because I actually remembered to press record. And as far as selections go, if we do them all in one, so you rattle all yours off, I'll let you go first, my friend.
So the first song is probably the most sort of maybe not the most out there. It's one of the one that's probably a bit different from what I usually listen to. But it was because I've started because Patrick has a playlist and we've been doing group listening sessions. To cut a very, 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 very long story short, I started listening to Miku songs because they're actually not that bad.
Oh, Hatsune Miku.
They're not that bad. It went from haha, this is funny as a joke to holy shit, this is actually a good song to holy shit, these are all good songs.
That's the
So
gateway drug, man. That's how they get
yeah, I
you. That's how
know.
this shit works.
Yeah, basically Patrick put on one song by a so there's a song that I'm gonna show you is by a producer called Ayase, I think. And now Miku is in every part of my life. I'm not joking. It's insane. I
Um,
will play it. I think I don't know if you've seen, but I was playing Elite Dangerous. I come across a pirate in Elite Dangerous and I go to split up. It's called Hatsune Miku because of course it is.
oh my God. I mean, that's what editing, Evan. Throw it up on screen. The thing where, like, once you see something once, you see it everywhere. That's that
Yeah.
shit.
So the first song is Hero, by Ayase, which was a song, probably my favorite Miku song. I've been listening to this basically straight for 4 weeks, like every day up when I'm walking to
Oh
university. It's just
wow,
that on. It's very, very, very good.
Jesus.
So the next song is a song called "Keep It Up." I think I've shown this song before once, but I thought I've only shown it once. So it's by Soft Willie, Young Cage, Isaac White, and Sad Friend.
I do remember you showing me a song that had Soft Willie as an artist, who, funnily
Yeah.
enough, is actually a recurring, or he's been recommended once before on this
Oh,
show.
okay.
It was Teen Titans Blow is the one
Right.
that I got
Yeah.
given.
Okay. Yeah, I know that song. It's very sort of It's just got like a really nice atmosphere. If that makes sense, like a very nice just song just to listen to. The sort of style I've started to a bit more sort of I don't know what to call it, like a slightly more pop style. I don't know. I guess. I just really like the song. The next song is again a bit maybe a bit different. It's I've tried to choose songs that are all songs that I have listened to or been listening to for the past ages, and I thought I'd choose the best out of the songs, or at least try to. But I've also tried
All
picking
right.
songs that cover each part. So like the first song was covering the sort of more Hatsune Miku side thing, I guess. The second song was more the sort of poppy stuff. This
Yeah,
song
yeah.
is more of a just musical side, just like the very like no, more like just no lyrics, just music style thing. The story about this song is the song that is used from one of my favorite Geometry Dash levels. It's a very interesting song. Would maybe I might send you the video of the level just so you can see the song with
All right.
the art
Yeah, that'd
behind
be
it.
interesting.
The idea of the level is a fully invisible level that you can't see the gameplay for, so it's just images basically. Very nice song. It's a very like it's an interesting song. It's one of the songs that's kind of hard to describe. You just kind of have to listen to it. Next song is what you probably were expecting me to say, an Elf song. Woo!
Oh yeah,
'Cause,
woo, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
was very split between two Elf songs, but I felt this one was a better one. This is very good Elf song. Was my apparently 10th most listened to song of the year last year. Yeah, it's called For Him by Aus and Svar. I don't know how to I
Oh,
don't know how to describe these songs. I
I've
think I've shown you that one as
I've
well.
have I seen this? I think I've seen this on Spotify because I keep tabs on House in case he
Okay.
releases another album. So I might
Yeah.
have seen it. I don't think I've heard it, but I think I've
Right.
seen it existing.
I initially when I first listened to it, I was like, oh, it's kind of slow paced. It's not anything super special, and it also reuses a audio bite from a song is used prior. It's a bit of a the more I listened to it, I was more I was like, holy shit, this is actually quite a good song. And I picked it over the other song because the other song's good, but it's one of the songs that I feel like I just like because I like it. Whereas this song has more the more goes on in the song. The other song's like 2 minutes long. It's a very fast, over and done sort of thing, quite repetitive. I thought this one more varied. The next song is my third most listened to song of the year, I think, something like that. It's very, very high up. And all of Paycheck songs, this is by Paycheck, all of Paycheck song. He released like 5 songs. Very interesting artist. I don't like pretty much any of his other songs. Just these 5 songs he made it all some of
Huh.
the best like songs that I've listened to in a while. They're so good. All 5 of the songs were like the top like 20, I think, songs to the year. They're very, very, very good songs. By the way, the way I listen to songs, I just listen to the same song over and over again on my playlist. Basically, I'll just have like 5 songs I just listen through and through and through again, if that makes sense. This is probably my favorite one out of the 5. It's called Life Goes On by Paycheck and Ouse. I'll just grab the song. Just a very typical Ouse song, I guess.
Like you'll remember from my Crying in Camo review about 2 years ago now, that had some really, really good high spots on it. It also had some fucking crushing low points, but it did have some real high points. So
Yeah,
even you kind of describing it as a regular house song, that could mean about a billion different things.
that is true. I realized at the minute I said it's hard to describe songs. It's more on the pop side, I guess. It's a bit more upbeat. It's not it's like that sort of like sad upbeat thing. It's not like really sad like
Yeah,
my girlfriend broke up with me lyrics. It's more just like next song. It was an interesting song to put on, but I was like this is worth it. It's one of the songs I listened to for like about 2-3 weeks straight, and then just kind of stopped listening to it, and then just didn't go back. And now when I listen to it again, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a song that exists. But I thought, you know what, I'll put it on. It's Breathe by Lily Pichu. I have definitely shown this song once before. Musically, I really like it. It has a very good like atmosphere building. It starts slow, then goes fast, and then ends like faster. I guess it's got really good
yeah, yeah,
harmonies. That's probably the most like out there pick. But I just was like, nah, I'll put this on because it's good to put on. I thought I'd be very interested to see what you say about the song. It's the
yeah.
outro song for Attack of Titan season 2 or Attack on Titan season 2. I was like,
Ah,
which is it's probably my favorite outro of anything I've seen. Which is a bit of a weird thing because
wow.
outros like who has a favorite outro like it's a very odd thing to have effect. But so I haven't really thought about it too much, but it's just such a well done outro. It's a really good song. Like it's a it's a really interesting. It's another thing that I might send you the outro with the song so you can see what it fits what you're watching so perfectly, but as a song it also works really well. The next song is probably the funny one, the long song, the 12-minute 13-second song. The funny thing about a song is, as you probably know, as far as I'm aware, Spotify determines most listened to song based off times listened to, not amount of time listened to, if that makes sense. And somehow this 13-minute song was my 12th most listened to song of the year, which means I clicked on it more times than any of us at least up to 12. So
Jesus.
I think that's very, very, very funny. Same with Calamity by DOKURO. It's the final boss theme for Terraria. Most of the time, DOKURO's songs look long, but in reality, they're just like a 4-minute song replayed because the game soundtracks so they replayed to loop. Where this is an actual 12-minute full song. It's like rock mixed with like opera singing. And
Yeah,
the last
yeah.
song is the song I spent some of the most time thinking, oh shit, which song do I pick? I wanted to put a Palfu song in, but Powerful songs have this very weird way of being similar to really good and at the same time really sort of just mid and going, yeah, it's good, but that could be better, or that could be better, or that could. They all have parts in it. This is like, why do you do that? This song, when it came out, I was like, holy shit, this might be the best musically best Powerful song. I still think
Oh
I agree
wow.
with that. It's not the best Powerful song. Just musically, I think it's very good. But I just thought, what's funny though is I showed Patrick the song, bearing in mind this is like one of my favorite Powerful songs, and he just went, "This song is shit. I hate it. This might be one of the worst songs I've ever listened to." So bear that in mind. And then 2 seconds later, they went and listened to a SpongeBob AI remix song. I went, "Holy shit,
Yeah.
this is awesome!" But this is "Flashlights in the Forest" by Powfu and Haylog. It's got that sort of like very good Powfu style of multiple audio tracks going on at the same time, like voices overlapping, harmonies and stuff. Quiet to loud to fast, slow. It's got a lot of dynamic changes in and stuff.
With yours, right? I've got to say this. Last time, and indeed on the last episode, it was very perplexing because obviously with Gallagher, I have like 8 episodes and also like a long, long history of friendship to work off of. But you're like a fucking enigma. Like the stuff I thought that you wouldn't like, you kind of end up liking.
Yeah,
The stuff I thought
Patrick
you
said the
wouldn't
same
like,
thing.
it's like the stuff I thought you would like, you're like, oh, I'm not a big fan of this. And like, it's sort of such a weird. So I just had no reference point. So I was like, what the hell do I do? And so I just
Yeah.
thought, you know what? I'll try to get music that I, in some vague sense, think would appeal to you, and just try to dot it in as many places of the musical map as possible, if you like. So
hmm
there's a range and a depth to this, just to kind of cover all my bases. It's
Yeah.
literally the epitome of throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. I feel like we're going to get some intriguing conversations out of this. The first one is a track by a band called Anamanaguchi called
Oh
Bosses.
wait! I literally listened to Anna Naguchi in a Miku song, but I only have one song by them, so the chances that it's that song would be extremely uh
All right,
slim.
which
But
one
yeah,
is it?
Miku by Anna Naguchi.
Oh no, it's not that one. It's not that one. Basically, so spoiler alert for the next episode, but I actually gave Gallagher a Nana Managuchi song in his episode, the next one. And so I was trying to come up with suggestions for your one. And I was like just looking at his and I was like, oh, this seems like it would kind of appeal to you. And so the track I've gone with is one called Bosozuku Girlfriend from the 2013 album. I believe it's called Endless Fantasy. And to me,
Okay.
this just kind of sums up Anna Managuchi's sound. Like they started off as like a chip tune type band, and then they kind of melded that with like arena rock and stuff and made it really, really cool. And so I thought that
hmm
there were a few tracks off of Endless Fantasy and other albums like USA that I could have gone with, but I thought that this one was just like really upright, really energetic, really colourful. And so as like a starter track, because I also think about how these are all sequenced, I think as a starter, it does a really good job of kind of, coming out the gates, all guns blazing kind of thing. So number two, track by Black Grape called String Theory off of their 2017 album Pop Voodoo. Now, I was initially going to go with a song off of their brand new album Orange Head, which is very, very good. But I thought that this one would be a good one because I think it epitomizes why I like Black Grape, because it's kind of like it's a mix of all kind of things musically. Like there's some rock in there, some dance in there, some funk in there, bit of Motown, maybe some Beach Boys as well, bit of hip hop. Like it's all these like disparate things coming together into this just like wildly like fun and crazy musical soup. But then also like Shaun Ryder and Kermit's vocal and lyrical style, they've basically described it as like comic strip madness, which the only way I can really describe that is like, well, to give you an example lyric is bad driver, muff diver. It's, you know, it's just like absolutely ridiculous nonsense, but it's fantastic. Shaun Ryder is easily one of the most distinctive vocalists ever. I think Kermit does a great job on the chorus. Youth's production sounds great. It's mad, it's hedonistic, it's like proper party music. But if you're off your head on drugs, it would probably sound really
Yeah.
cool as well. Track number three is by somebody who I believe I've flared up to you in the past, actually, called Pink Pantheress, and the track is True Romance off of her latest album, Heaven Knows, that came out last October. And I think it ranked as either my ninth or eighth favorite album of last year out of like nearly 50. So this is like really high up there. I think Pink Pantheress has a knack for kind of creating like dance pop tracks that at the same time can sound like they're coming out of the late 90s or early 2000s while also sounding like they belong 50 years in the future. And I've got no idea how she does it, but it's fantastic. Like the break beats and the production sound great. Her vocals are just like some of the most distinctive vocals in all of pop music, arguably the most distinctive vocals in all of pop music, in my opinion. The latest album is definitely a level up from the mixtape, as much as I do love the mixtape. And so I feel like with it being a bit more developed and a bit more fleshed out, you might quite like this. Number four is quite an interesting one because this has to be one of the only times that I've ever done a redemption track, in that I'm recommending you another song from an artist I've already recommended to you in the hopes that I can kind of make up for past mistakes. Because in the last episode we did, you'll remember I gave you a song called Facebook Troll, which was
Yes.
basically a song about how a man was very disgruntled that people on Facebook were pretending to be him. So he tracked them down and beat them up. Like, obviously, I really loved Facebook Troll at the time that I recommended it to you. But in the interim, I've realized the Fall have so much more better songs. And I feel like their last final lineup is one of their best musically. And so I really wanted to give you a good snapshot of that lineup that really does it justice. And so I've gone with the live recording of a song called 50-Year-Old Man from the Sky Arts in the Basement sessions, originally from the album Imperial Wax Solvent. The reason I'm not giving you the album version is because it sounds like it was recorded on a fucking potato and it just sounds fucking awful. Like the song's great, but like the production on it is just bleh. I have such a love-hate relationship with Imperial Wax Solvent. Like they put out some like alternative mixes called the Britannia Row tapes that were like a lot cleaner. And I honestly would bump the Britannia Row tapes a million times over before even thinking about listening to the original. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So 50-Year-Old Man, I think is just like a great showcase of what that band does. Like the rhythm section of Kieran Mellon and Dave Spur, they are both just fucking beastly. Like Kieran's laying down some absolute mean beats, and Dave is just like holding down the fort incredibly. And then on guitars, you've got Pete Greenway, who kind of has this like kind of very rocky and very kind of quite punky, I guess, and quite fiery, but also he's kind of got a weird kind of rockabilly westerny thing going on sometimes. And then you've got Eleanor Pulu on keyboards, kind of giving those little kind of textural bleeps and bloops and little things that kind of became her trademark and that she does really well. And then the vocalist, Marquis Smith, I thought that this would be a good one because aside from Facebook Troll, that was just like Facebook Troll, you know, I feel like the lyrics to this song, as it might suggest, 50-Year-Old Man, it was written when he turned 50. And I think it's really funny how he uses that as a way to kind of play into being senile in quite a humorous way. Although I fully understand that a lot of the time you cannot understand a fucking word that he's saying. So I've actually transcribed what I think the lyrics are that I'm going to send to you, because often he does them kind of free form. So I did my best. It is a long song, like it's 8 minutes, but there's at least 5 or 6 different rhythmic and melodic switch up strides. So there's plenty to keep it interesting. Number 5 is a track by a producer called Mr. Bill, and it's called Cryptomnesia. Now, Mr. Bill is kind of like a bit of an Aphex Twin disciple, if you will. Like, he specializes in the kind of very glitchy, very textural, very kind of technical, kind of offbeat dance music. All kinds of like odd idiosyncratic rhythms and strange melodies and things, but also with that like really dirty, grimy dubstep sound. And so the combination of those 3 things makes for tracks that are just absolutely insane. I was originally going to give you one called Jesus Christ Superstar, which is also fantastic, but this one I thought was just like the rhythms on it are super cool. The sound design is impeccable, and the bass is just fucking monstrous. Like, you want a good pair of headphones to listen to this, because it is just like otherworldly sometimes. Like,
I do
it's
very much like glitch style music, and I also like good bass.
Number 6 is a track by someone called Willie J. Healy called Sure Feels Good, which actually made it, I believe, to the number 5 spot on my albums of last year, because Willie J. Healy is kind of one of those people that does like a bit of a retro rock pastiche kind of thing, but he does it in like his own way that I absolutely love. And so this last album that he did was very much influenced by kind of funk and Motown music as well as rock. And I feel like Sure Feels Good is just the perfect encapsulation of that. Like, the melodies are just like super perky and bright and happy. There's some really like nice sounding kind of psychedelic guitar leads that go through it. The drums are super crisp. The production on it is great. I think Willie vocally does a fantastic job as well. And I think just I said in my year in review that it was the best example of happy music that I could hear all of last year, and I fully stand by that. And I think this is one of my favorite tracks off the album. I'm not sure if it is my favorite, but it's really high up there. So I thought that maybe you would appreciate this. Number 7. Now, you might be surprised. This is a recommendation that I actually just came across, or didn't come across, but thought of literally 5 minutes ago while you were doing your bit, because you mentioning Geometry Dash sparked some weird memory from inside my brain that I've had locked away for years and years and years, about a track that I heard, because I went through a period of watching the YouTuber Corey X Kenshin, and he used to do a lot of Geometry Dash videos, and he used to just kind of go on the popular levels of the time and just play those. And there was one track that was particularly distinctive that I remembered, and it was called Vapor by Locking. Full disclosure, I was originally going to make this a Night Drive track, and I vowed to have Night Drive make an appearance of some sort in a future episode. But I thought that this was like a really, it does kind of fit into that mold of like Geometry Dash music, like it's super serene, really atmospheric synthesizers, some like really snappy beats, some really like glossy and clean and like pristine sounding pianos. It's like kind of chill hop slash dubstep, kind of like, it's like chill hip hop, like the melodies of chill hip hop
Yeah,
combined with like this the speed and the energy of dubstep, which
yeah.
I
I
thought
mean,
was really cool.
when you said popular geometry, I was like, oh no, I hope I don't actually know. Don't know the song, so that's good.
All right, yeah.
But yeah, I do listen to quite, not like a ton. The only 2 artists I can think of that are popular in geometry that I listen to, other than RKZ and Apricot Special, who is I recommended, but Dre X or Kudre because he changed his name,
Oh
and
yeah.
Creo. I don't know how to say it, but
Okay,
there's all,
yeah.
but there's the usual like Water Flame, Fat Rat.
It literally just like you mentioning Geometry Dash, I went, aha, there's that one. And so,
Hmm.
I thought that that would make a good addition. And the penultimate one we have here is just insane. I imagine you've heard of Slipknot before, at least in some capacity. But the track I'm going to recommend to you is called Do Nothing slash Bitch Slap off of their 1996 Make, Feed, Kill, Repeat demo tape, particularly the remastered version, because with it being a demo tape, obviously the sound quality is a little bit muddy, a little bit undefined, and so a fan took it upon themselves to do a remaster of it, and it sounds absolutely fucking beefy as hell. So I have to give credit to Lee Quid there on the remaster, but obviously Slipknot are known more now for just doing generally like high, like high energy, really heavy kind of heavy metal music with like some extra percussive elements and maybe some like odd sound effects here or there. But on the Make, Feed, Kill, Repeat demo tape, they did things musically that they never ever did again, which I think is a real shame. I think that was mostly the influence of Donny Steele. It's just fucking insane. Like it goes from like slap bass to these like really super heavy industrial riffs into this like funk breakdown, back into the industrial riffs. Then there's like a full on disco part in the bridge, and then it just goes right back into like a super heavy part that just builds up into this like wall of cacophonous noise. It just like it goes in about 7 different directions in the space of like 4 minutes, and it is fucking nuts. And it's such a shame that they never did anything remotely like it ever again outside of the demo tape. So I thought if I was going to give you a Slipknot track, I'd give you one that was a bit more off the beaten path. This last one, I knew I wanted a big one to close things out with, and I am hoping to high hell that you haven't listened to it, but there is a chance that you maybe have. So I could have screwed
Right.
myself a little bit with this. It is Denver Luna by Underworld, which I know I showed you the a cappella or the partial a cappella to this that came out. And I remember you saying that it sounded all right, but you didn't know what it was in context of. And so, I think a lot of Underworld fans were kind of pissed off when it would like been hyped up for ages and we just got an a cappella. But then when the full track came out, I sent it to you and I was like, oh, give this a listen and, see what it is like, what the a cappella bit was in context of. And so I'm hoping that you haven't done that because I'm recommending it here as well.
I
Because
think I think I have listened to a bit of it, but I haven't listened to it and then listened to it. I can't remember really what it sounds like, so it should be fine.
Okay, yeah. So I genuinely think that this is one of my favorite songs of the year so far, possibly my favorite, because it's one of those tracks that I believe a friend was talking to me about this. It's one of those kind of like progressive tracks. It's got a very linear structure. Like it doesn't really have like verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. It's just kind of like builds and builds and builds and builds, and then there's a crescendo, and then it ends. Which I think it's the way that somebody put it to me is they don't mind taking a little bit to get where they want to go. But that's not to say that it's the same thing for ages and ages and ages. Like there's always small little details or extra things being added, which I think makes the track really interesting to listen to. And the climax of it is just absolutely euphoric. And despite the fact that Carl Hyde's lyrics are like absolute gobbledygook and make no sense whatsoever. I think weirdly, if you get what I mean, it's more the sound of his voice and like how the words sound coming out of his mouth than it is the words that are actually coming out of his mouth, if you see what I mean.
I get that completely. A lot there's so many times that I'll have a song on. I've listened to it 50, 60, 70 times, and then someone will be like, "Oh, that's interesting. A song about this topic. It's interesting." I'll be like, "Oh, is that what it's about?" Okay. And I just listen to the song and never really listen to the words too much because because it's just the sound of the voice. Like House especially. I just think his
Yeah.
voice is usually what carries a lot of the song. Obviously, his music as well, but a lot of the songs he makes are also standard producer sort of, especially his old songs are just like taken a track, modified it slightly, and then just sang over it.
I genuinely think that this track, yeah, so he's got that building structure, fantastic climax. My God, I think it is genuinely one of the only tracks I can think of right now or that's come out recently that is genuinely deserving of the adjective epic. Those do all sound like some very interesting suggestions, and so now what we'll do is we will go away for a bit, maybe a week or so, I'm not sure, make some notes on them, and then we'll reconvene and have a nice old natter about the songs that we've given each other. And who knows, maybe we'll come across some insightful discoveries, some interesting conversation, or it could just be a load of shit. You never know. But until that happens, we will see you all. I guess in video land it'd be like 2 seconds. Yeah, see you then. So, hello everybody, and welcome to verdict time. Yes, we've gone away, we've listened to the songs recommended by each other, and now we're coming back to hopefully have some insightful conversation, or indeed have conversation, whether it will be insightful or not. I'm not entirely sure. My friend XD Cyndaquil is here beside me once again, and let's get this thing underway. So, your first track was Hero by Ayase or Ayase, or whatever it was, featuring Hatsune Miku. And obviously, like, there's an element to this track that's just like, haha, funny blue hair woman sing song, lol. What I put for this track was there are some songs that I like, right, that are characterized by being like really hyperactive and having like a ton of stuff going on, really colorful, really lively, and that's all cool. But like, I feel like in my brain, there kind of comes a point where it goes kind of beyond being exciting and just kind of makes your brain hurt and gives you anxiety beyond a certain point. And I'm kind of sad to say that this kind of falls into the latter category because the amount of stuff going on, I genuinely couldn't keep up at some point. Like, it goes from really uppity, cheesy kind of J-pop pianos to like rapid break beats to like really heavy guitar, techno bass stuff, then to like kind of sci-fi EDM, all within the space of like 15 seconds. And it's just like, whoa, whoa, slow down. Because like the production is really compressed and really maximal and really full on and in your face. So with that much stuff going on, genuinely, I was chatting to Callagher the other day about these tracks, and I said to him, and it is true that this is the only time I can remember listening to a song, but genuinely having to pause for breath about 45 seconds in.
First of all, IA is known for being like that, with the like style switches. A lot of his songs, at least the songs I've listened to him. What's funny is the fact that you said this about Hero, which is, at least in my opinion, on the sort of middle end of the spectrum in terms of Miku songs
Fucking
being
hell. I,
like
I, I dread to think what the other ones are. It's like you could maybe keep up with it if your brain is moving at a million miles an hour, 24 hours a day. But with me, like, it just fried my noodle like instantly. Like, I was just like, my brain was rotted. I don't know. Like, it was just way too much for me to take in all at once. Especially, like I say, like the song is really fast paced anyway. Because like, if it was a bit slower or like stuff came in and out in a way that was a bit more easily digestible, maybe there might be some things I like, because like the riffs are fairly monstrous and fairly like, they've got some real heft and grit to them, which I like a lot. And then some of the electronic effects do, I think, give it a genuinely kind of futuristic allure, which is like occasionally it does
yeah.
that, and occasionally, I think that is quite cool how he's able to kind of conjure that vibe up. But the rest of it is just like so bright and colourful and like full on that it just like I say, it just absolutely fries my brain. It's like the musical equivalent of like eating a whole tube full of exclusively blue Smarties and just like being like sugar rush like high off your tits. It probably doesn't help that this song feels really overproduced. Like I say, everything is really distorted, really compressed, like really loud, really bombastic. It makes fucking baby metal sound like Siege 1984, like garage demo in comparison, which is just like it's just too much. And I'd say
Mhm.
this as well about Hatsune Miku as well. I don't get the appeal of having a clearly obvious robot singing to you, because if it was more convincing, right, fine, cool, whatever. But like the way that the like syllables sound, like the way they're kind of put together, it genuinely sounds like an Animal Crossing NPC. Like it sounds like
Yeah, I
fucking
think
DD Walker.
that more, I think, depends on the song. I think this one's supposed to sound very robotic.
Yeah, I mean, Gallagher pointed out that it sounded like an Animal Crossing NPC, and I genuinely can't get that comparison out of my head. And I think as well, the litany of effects that they put on the vocals as well really don't help. Like the kind of weird, distorted auto-tune vibrato thing in the second verse, that just sounds horrific. Like I don't know what the effects would like really added to it. And when I say I don't get the appeal of having a robot singing to you, I know that like, oh, Daft Punk do that, but I guess it's like the way that they do it actually has some kind of artistic kind of appliance, whereas this just feels like the fucking Friday Night Funkin' character, like singing a metal song at me, and I just don't really see the appeal.
Hmm.
So like, and I guess like it chills out a tiny bit more after the bridge. I guess like it's a bit less full on, but I think it's a case of like way too little, much too late. You know what I mean? It's like there are things that I can pick out about this track that I like you know, some of the riffs are actually quite cool. The like again, the kind of futuristic sci-fi vibe is kind of cool at points, but it's just like absolute sensory overload to the point where I was genuinely tired out after listening to this song. Like I genuinely don't know how to describe it.
Boso Zuku, yes, by Anamaguchi. With a lot of the songs coming up, I feel like there's a lot, not all of them, but a decent amount. Is like they'll have a like a style, and then they'll just stick that riff throughout the entire song, if that makes sense, and not really
Yeah,
just
yeah,
add like layer on top of it rather than changing the foundation. Like they'll keep the foundation, just add on top. There's those songs that you listen to, go, yeah, this is a fine song. There's nothing wrong with it. And then but if someone said, okay, are you gonna listen to it again? You'd go, I quite like the breaks, but it was the fact that at the end they'll like stop, like it's still got sort of like 4/4 timing. They'll stop to sort of add like a pause of sort of like a to make it seem, I don't know, more funky, I guess. But then just go
yeah,
back to the same thing they've been doing, or just add like one extra high note in a section, and like they'll just make the riff go up to a high note or something. If they really want to make it change, they need to change the foundation rather than just changing a note or giving it like an extra break or little riff on top of the foundation. It definitely works, but for a nearly 5 minute song, it doesn't change tons throughout the song. There's definitely things that get
yeah.
added, but the actual foundation is quite simple. Especially, I think the first 40 seconds I seem to remember is quite yeah, that sort of build up. It's quite slow. Yeah, I do actually like the song quite a lot. It's just like I said, it's one of those songs that you listen to go, yeah, this song's a good song, and then it's just maybe I think it's just the length that does it a little bit. It's the fact that it's 5 minutes, and then like you get to like a minute 30, it's like okay, this is really good, but it took us 4 minutes to get to this point in the first place. It's
Okay, so your second one was Keep It Up by Soft Willie, Isaac Sad, and a few other people that I can't quite remember. I wasn't expecting to, but I actually did like a fair few things about this song. Like like the thumping like H3 sample beat is a little silly, but like it actually does kind of go hard. Despite sounding kind of pretty raw and distorted, which is normally a bit annoying if you don't know what you're doing with that style of production. But I think a lot of the vocalists as well have a pretty strong showing as well, because like there's not much on the lyrical front because it's mostly just kind of standard relationship debacle type stuff. You know, like it's nothing really groundbreaking on the lyrical side, but the melodies are like really kind of quite catchy. Aside from the performance around 1 minute to maybe 1:20, I'm not sure who that is, but it sounded kind of a bit nasally and a bit whiny and annoying, honestly, which is like the kind of vocal delivery that I just really can't stand when they start to get really high and sing like this. I get I like that just ugh. No thanks, no thank you. But like on the whole, like the performances were pretty strong, like they're pretty damn solid. I think it fits in quite well with this sort of really bright, banging kind of TikTok dancecore type stuff. Like I don't know if you've heard the track, like "I Just Want to Dance" or whatever it's called. Is that type of stuff? I think it fits in quite well with that trend. But so I like the first bit, like the first half. But from the Discord skit onwards, the quality
yeah.
of it or the enjoyability of it just takes a fucking nosedive.
I
I don't
know.
know what
I
happened,
hope that
but
it's not that I hate that part, but it's one of those songs which if I was to if I was to show to someone, I just act like the Discord call bit is the end of the song and just be like, yep, that's the end of the song.
I don't get why they slowed the beat down because it doesn't add anything. If anything, it makes it sound even like quite a bit worse, actually. I'd say that the vocals as well aren't nearly as exciting. Like they're really downbeat and really deadpan and just like not interesting at all. It just absolutely kills it. Like you had something really good going,
For me,
and then you
it's
threw in this random Discord skit, and then the
yeah.
rest of the beat and the vocals are just like the quality's just like goes down the bin. It's a shame as well because like I wasn't absolutely like head over heels in love with it. Like don't get me wrong, but there was definitely a lot of stuff that could be enjoyed about it up until that point. Like, and it had some fairly obvious flaws even from the get go, but it's just a shame that that part of the song really like dumps it in my estimation.
Yeah, your next song is String Theory. Now, I'm
Oh,
gonna say this now to get it out of the way. I did not like this song, so don't worry. There's not a song I didn't like as much as I didn't like this song. This is okay. Out of all the songs that I listened to, as I said, a lot of them have that sort of foundation, right? Yeah, this song, I was like, okay, it's got like the guitar riff and it's got the usual like this I don't know what to call it, the usual singing, usual like standard. I don't know, but I was like, okay, and I
yeah,
was like, wait, are they gonna change the guitar? Are they gonna change the? No, it's just the same. But for the entire song, they just don't do anything super interesting. Even when it gets to the chorus, it's a da 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 da, and you're like, okay, and then it does it again and again, and it's like cool, and then it's just and with the same guitar. I was telling Patrick, I was like, okay, Patrick, listen to the song. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm over exaggerating. I guarantee this will actually happen. I was like, okay, Patrick, remember this riff? I showed him 20 seconds. And he went, okay. And he was like, oh, the singing's good. I was like, yeah, the singing's okay. And then he skipped to like 50 seconds, the same riff's playing. I was like, okay. Skipped a minute in, the same riff's playing. A minute 30, the same riff's playing. It's like,
yeah,
I do not like super, super, super repetitive songs. I quite like songs that have even if it's something really small, like just like a small, like, I don't know, something switches, even if it's like
yeah.
really quite minuscule, it can make a song so good. So the song literally just being the same guitar riff throughout the entire thing just immediately made me go, nope, don't like it.
I've
Yeah.
got to be honest, I did not anticipate you like the one thing you like being Sean Ryder's vocals because they can be really, really divisive.
I will say I'm interested to see what you think about the next song coming up, as in the
Oh,
yeah,
your next
yeah.
one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because after what I've been saying about how much I hate foundations and riffs being played on top of each other, it'll be very interesting to see what you think about the next one, because that legitimately it
yeah.
is just a foundation with things played on top of it.
Moving on to your next one, Apricot Special by RKZ, which was it's funny what you said about string theory because I have to ask where your logic is if you
Yeah, I
can
know.
not excuse that, but then excuse this.
I'll try explain slightly why I excuse this one a bit more, but I do realize the logic is quite flawed to say that I don't like string theory, but then like this one. The only difference, I guess, of this song is the fact of what the song means, rather than at least personally, rather than what the song is. It's kind of one of the songs where I listened to it, it was part of something because it was the song that was going to that that level, the art and stuff. Eventually, I just was
Yeah.
like this, just listen to the song over and over again. I was like, this song's really cool.
I found it quite weird to write about actually because, like I say, it's got a fairly nice tranquil vibe, some nice cool melodies and atmospheres going throughout the song. I think it's built on quite nicely with some extra keyboards, some touches of organs, the bits of extra atmosphere that get added on. But I said, like, aside from some like minor percussion effects and like the chopped guitar sample that kind of slowly builds in intensity throughout the track, it basically does like exactly the same thing for nearly 4 minutes. Like you
Yeah,
listen to the first 90 seconds, and aside from like some minor increase in like energy in the guitars, it's literally the exact same
I
thing
guess
for the next
as
like 3 minutes, which is like, I mean, it's fine because the vibe it's got is like whatever, but like I say, it's got like a cool, dreamy kind of psychedelic vibe, but it just kind of gets a bit old. Like and if I'm being critical, really, it did kind of ring to me a little bit as like kind of the background music for like a cheap flash game, like the sort of like looping It sounds like the fucking soundtrack to Riddle School or something a little bit. Like it's just like really sort of maybe it's the sort of lo-fi grainy effect they put on everything, but it just like the vibe it had was cool, but it just sounded kind of cheap. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
like I think
I mean,
having the guitars be really blaring and stuff, like but having the background be really kind of tranquil and calm, it just doesn't really fit in my mind. You know what I mean? I hate to piss on your bonfire, lad, but I've got to be honest, right? Watching the level with the music, it didn't really add anything to me. Like I can get that if you're playing the level, it's obviously really complex because it's like an invisible level, so you can't really see anything. But just watching it along with the music, I didn't really get anything from the music that I wouldn't have got just listening to it by itself, to be honest.
mhm,
Like it didn't really enhance it in the way that maybe it did for you, which I can kind of understand because it's like the experience of playing the level is obviously very different
yeah,
to watching it.
that's an
It had a good vibe going for it. Like the general mood of the song is really, really cool, but like you can't just coast off vibe for 5 minutes. Like you need to add things. So I
mhm.
felt a bit conflicted on this in like honestly.
Your next song is True Romance by Pink Panthers. This is I quite like this song. It's like a weird dichotomy of I really like the instruments. Everything about this song's cool. I like how it switches up stuff. I like how the harmonies built, well, I guess build are built, I guess. It's weird because it's got that sort of pop feel where everything's like A B sort of style, but at the same time it switches and doesn't do what you'd expect it to do next, if that makes sense. Keeps the song very interesting. It's very fun to listen to. However, it's got really, as I think you said this when you were talking about the song, the vocals are so distinctly pop. It feels really, I don't want to say girly pop, but it just feels like it's weird to listen to, if that makes sense. I just don't listen to
Yes,
songs with this sort of that style of
yeah,
singing. It's just very jarring to listen to when you're just like, it's like, okay, I have this very sort of poppy singer. It's like, but the actual song, but the actual music's good. So yeah, very
yeah.
split on this one. If someone else sang it, I think it would be a, but I don't know. It's really weird because again, I would usually I'd say if someone else sang it, it would might make it better. But it's just such a distinct singing that I don't know if it would work. But it's yeah, it plays with like I guess dynamics very well with the whole like you got the slow harmonies in harmonies into the sort of more fast stuff back into the harmonies in the way the guitar. It's very good. It's that sort of like fast pace, but then also harmonical.
Okay, so the next one is Aus for Him featuring Sfar. The one word that described this song to me, right, is frustrating, but only because I know it could have been really good, but kind of cuts its own nose off to spite its face in a way. Because I think the synths and piano that go throughout the beat have like a really pretty, alluring, kind of graceful, sort of subtly warm and psychedelic effect to them, which is quite nice. You know, I feel like some of House's melodies do really kind of hit that sweet spot, and I think this is definitely one of them. But and I'd say as well that House's vocal melodies on top of it are actually pretty damn good at points too. Like he really knows how to put a vocal run together when he wants to. So like 100% kudos to him on that. But then like when the beat comes in, and this is what I mean by frustrating, it's just like the most standard, like thumping trap affair possible. Like just really basic 808 drums and hi hats and stuff. Like the melodies that he was building up were so distinctive and so like alluring and so dreamlike and otherworldly that just to put like a basic like garage band stock trap beat underneath it just feels like it feels like a waste. Even Svar's feature isn't too bad, despite in my opinion being a noticeably weaker kind of vocal presence to Ouse, just because he doesn't have that kind of melodic wow factor to him, in my opinion, in the way that Ouse does. And like the lyrics are just again kind of standard tumultuous relationship stuff. But that being said, there wasn't even a single cringy lyric that I picked up on. Like there wasn't one that genuinely made me like cringe. I feel like he would be so much better suited if he just got some better beats. Like I can imagine Ouse absolutely crushing it over like some proper cinematic, like quadeca style production, like really maximal, really grand, like loads of stuff going on, really glitchy maybe. But just to have all these great melodies put over like the most generic beat possible, it feels like such a waste. And that was another critique that I had of Crying in Camo, is just that it feels like Aus is almost kind of deliberately underperforming just because he feels like that's what he's supposed to do.
I don't think the song, at least in my opinion, would work. Well, I guess it would still work, but it would work better if, yeah, it did switch to a different beat. But yeah, if the beat was potentially more interesting and not just, like you said, just I will say, Alsa's lyrics usually carry songs,
For
right, in
me, the
Camo.
more standout moments on Camo were like Dreams of You, Hanging Up, like even the fucking intro. I was like, do more of this, please. Because his melodies are so strong. Like he deserves something more distinctive underneath it.
The next song from you, 50-Year-Old
Wait,
Man. I might think these are the same people that made the Facebook troll. Yes, okay, right. It's not as bad as that. So you'll be happy to hear. It has that sound of just the very, I don't want to know exactly what it's like, what style. I guess punk, I think is the right term, but I might be wrong. Yeah, the guitar with just the sort of very like mumbled lyrics over the top. We can't really tell. I guess I
yeah,
know you cannot tell what they're saying because someone went and tried to figure out what they were saying. For me, like 8 minutes of just, it's definitely nowhere near as egregious as Facebook troll, and definitely it's not egregious. It's not even like that bad actually. Like I didn't not. It's just very not my style, if that makes sense.
yeah,
A
yeah.
song, just the sort of electric guitar and man singing over the top that is you're not able to tell what they're saying at all. If you've got a long song, at the same time, hard to remember specific sections, but there also should be sections that are very memorable. The fact that it's that long, struggle to remember any specific moment from it. Like a lot of the songs that are long should have, at least in my opinion, should have a build up to a moment at least, or have some excuse for being 8 minutes. There's no wow factor to it, if that makes sense. Which I feel is a bit of a simplistic response for an 8 minute long song, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Just guitar with
yeah.
mumbled singing over it. What the song is, I think it does it very well. From a personal standpoint, I'm not that big of a fan.
Okay, so your next one, Life Goes On, Paycheck with an Ouse feature on it this time. And speaking of production that I think Ouse suits, this would be it for me. Like the kind of electronic rap, but also kind of mixed with indie rock type sound. It's like indie rock done with like electronic instruments, kind of, which I think I've heard a few other people do this kind of style before. But I think Paycheck and House really, really suit this. Like, I think the sound that it's going for is really well utilized here. Like the guitar melodies and the subtle kind of synth bits or the atmospheres of the keyboards in the background. Again, they have a really nice, alluring kind of psychedelic quality to them that I like a lot. And particularly on the chorus, it sounds really anthemic. Like House maybe isn't like the best chorus writer, but the fact that Paycheck, like this is like a really strong, really hummable, really kind of sing along, catchy chorus that like it. The track benefits from it tenfold, in my
Hmm.
opinion. That's the only thing I would say instrumentally. The drums, they do a decent job at like just kind of like providing that backbeat, motoring along, doing their thing. It does draw attention to the fact that this track, production wise, sonically, like how it sounds is quite washed out. Like the amount of reverb on this song does become very noticeable because the drums doing what they're doing is fine. But I like drums in any context really to have a bit of punch, a bit of oomph, a bit of that low end thump going on. But because they're kind of so coated in reverb, like you notice the rhythm, but it's like, okay, where's the punch? Because reverb kind of tends to sap some of that away. And so I think the fact that the drums, excuse me, are so washed out does kind of draw attention to the mix in general. But I'd say that's like a very kind of nerdy nitpick there because I think the track instrumentally as a whole, like I say, is very, very well accomplished. And lyrically, again, it's just the kind of same, like, I hate my heart, I can't control it. Oh, I'm in love and I don't like it. I don't know what to do with myself. It feels like quite a tired lyrical concept at this point. Like I get that like if you're in this lane, that's what you're gonna write about, but like surely you can write about something else. Just a change of pace in any sense would be quite nice lyrically. But like I feel like both Paycheck and House vocally do a really good job because it's like they're similar enough to each other to appeal for similar reasons. Like they both have a very distinctive kind of melodic flair to them, but they are also like distinct enough to stand out without just sounding like clones of each other. Like both their contributions are very catchy, very humble, very kind of emotionally passionate as well. I feel like Aus particularly does a good job on his feature, but I think as well Paycheck is no slouch either by any means. And like I say, I think they both really suit the kind of like electronicized indie style. Like it's really catchy, it's really emotional, it's psychedelic. I'd say just clean the production up a bit and maybe like maybe get a couple new lyrics and you're golden. Like I really enjoyed this. I feel like if Aus wanted to do an album of this style, obviously you'd have to vary it up a bit from track to track, but I would not be disappointed.
Your next song is Cryptomnesia, which this is an interesting one because it's one of those weird ones where I was initially very disappointed, but as it came to was less disappointed, if that makes sense. Because pretty sure the song you recommended me is this is kind of like glitchy bass
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
So I envisioned more of a sort of Vertigo style when you say glitchy,
Okay,
which it's
okay,
not.
yeah, yeah,
The best way to describe a song is it's kind of like just throw as much stuff as you can until it kind of works, and that worked on me at least. It was just this song has no highs and it needs them. It's just bass. At least for me, it's not that interesting. So much of the song is just bass lines, and the fact that it has like 40 seconds of bass, which is basically the same bass, builds. You go, okay, this is going to be some cool, maybe like a kind of electronic glitchy drop. Maybe it's like when we are on dubstep. Maybe it's going to go into, I don't know, maybe some higher synths coming, and it just goes back to being bass, but this time with a different grainier bass. It's just like, oh, okay. Personally, I didn't enjoy it tons, but the last minute of the song, when those higher ends come in, it's really good. And then maybe go, why isn't there higher ends in the rest of the song? The offbeat hits is really like it makes it kind of, I guess, groovy and funky and stuff, and it's
yeah,
fun to listen to and like energetic. Whereas the rest of the song's just bass. With a lot of the sort of EDM tracks I listen to, I like them being upbeat, fun to listen to. They usually have that sort of very like kind of melodic dubstep. Or if you are going to be very dubsteppy, do it something like Colossus by Vector, the sort of very just all over the place, but being still structured. But yeah, the last minute 20-ish made me go, it can be good. If this was just done throughout most of the song, initially going into it was quite disappointed. Coming out of it, I'm more sort of just not, I guess not disappointed, more just like conflicted. It's more just don't like the bass, but the end of the song is just so much better. So yeah, if you'd asked me like a few years ago, does a song these lyrics to be good, I did would have gone no. Nowadays, I have the opinion of if a song doesn't have lyrics, it needs to do something extra special. It needs to be
yeah.
captivating. And just having a bass and these sounds are still good. It's not particularly captivating, especially when you build up a drop, just for it to go back to basically what it was doing before, but with a different sounding bass and a few different sounds is a bit eh.
Your next one, Lily Pichu, Breathe, which, speaking
Yes.
of feeling conflicted, I feel very conflicted because there are undoubtedly some positives to this, right? Like a lot of your tracks that you've recommended, they get atmosphere correct. Like it sounds really enveloping the way the kind of really like warm, sort of cloud-like synths and the subtle guitars, they kind of work together. It's really, really cool sounding and like it has again that really dreamy, otherworldly sound to it, which is fantastic. And I'd say that Lily's very airy vocal style adds to it a lot. I can see similarities actually between Lily Pichu and Pink Pantheress in a way. I'd say in terms of the vibe that the track's going for, it does add to it. And I'd say a lot of her melodies are pretty damn good as well. Like they're again really catchy, really like they are proper earworms, some of these, which I think is great. And I'd say like the thing with this track though, so I love all of that I've just mentioned, is that although I again really like stuff about it, the sense of melody that the track has and the general vibe that it has, those two things carry it so fucking hard in my opinion. The lyrics for one are like either fairly generic, kind of like I don't want to grow up, or that sort of like meta self-referential stuff that I thought you hated, where it's like, oh look, I'm writing a verse that I am now singing in my song, and oh I write catchy choruses. Look at me being self-referential. Like, you know, I thought you like really hated that sort of stuff, and I do find it kind of annoying if like you just keep doing it, and she does it at least a couple times here. I think I much prefer Lily as a singer than as a rapper. Like the rap verse isn't awful, but it's just like very fine. Like it functionally does the job that a rap verse is supposed to do without doing anything that would let me know, like, yeah, this definitely warranted being here. Like it just feels like rap verse for rap verse's sake. The beat and the funky guitar combo that begins in the verses is like about as generic a pop structure as you can get. Like the beat on this song, like just the way the beat sounds and the time signature, I must have heard in about 1,000 different pop songs over my life. Like it feels very, very, very generic. That along with the kind of do 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 chorus that is just it gets quite annoying and irritating and just feels quite inane after a while. So like there were definitely highlights to this song. Like I say, Lily's vocals when she's singing are great. The sense of melody that it has and the general vibe is pretty brilliant, honestly. But it feels like a couple of great ideas trapped within a very, very generic framework. So I ended up feeling very mixed on it.
Your next song was Sure Feels Good by Willie J. Healy. This is probably the most me answer you're going to get from any of the songs today. Of actually, maybe is just of yeah, it's good. It's just, however, it's definitely one of the songs that I listened to, the first time I listened to it. Initially, my initial thoughts were, okay, it's got a sort of very typical feel to it, and kind of unintentionally just zoned out from the song, and just kind of it turned into just it's playing sort of thing. But then when I
Yeah,
went back and listened, I realized just it actually has some really, really good jazz sounds to it, which I quite liked. I'm not one for nerding out over, oh wow, they used this cadence and that chord and this minor fifth or whatever. But it's a really interesting song because unlike something like Bill Wurtz, where it's so obviously jazz, it has that sort of it's got a sort of Guardians of the Galaxy sound, if you know what I'm on about that style of
yeah,
song, but then still manages to actually be like a really interesting song when you actually sit down and listen. Like it's simultaneously a song that you can just put on, but then at the same time you can sit down, listen to it, and go, it's actually good. The only small complaint I had was just the ending of just I found the fact that the last minute and a half is him just saying yeah, yeah, yeah was a little bit kind of what you said about some of the house songs of just okay, you need to end it a little bit earlier. But oh, I actually quite like this song. No, it's not really a problem. It's more just the fact that it just happens to be as just not the sort of song I would listen to. However, it is definitely a very, very, very good song.
yeah,
Honestly, I
yeah,
feel like it's one of the songs that might legitimately grow on me. Like the more I listen to it, there's definitely
yeah.
songs where I listen to go, yeah, it's pretty good, and listen to it again, go, oh yeah, it's decent, and slowly, slowly, slowly grow. So this has got a lot of potential for the song.
It feels weird. The ones that I'm like for sure, like there was some that I'm not sure on, and they didn't go down so well. But some of the ones that I thought would be a slam dunk really aren't, and the ones that I was kind of shaky on turn out to be the good ones.
Sure feels nice to be home again.
Yugare no Tori, the TV edit. Honestly, I'm finding it difficult to say almost anything good about this song. I'll be honest. I found this very, very irritating to listen to. Like the instrumentation, most of it is just like fairly generic, uplifting power ballad stuff, like some fairly decent, if pretty bland guitar strumming, the sort of plodding, slightly lazy, like slow paced, the drum beats that are just there to carry a rhythm and basically do nothing else. And like the strings and pianos that they have, like they sound fine, I suppose, But again, it's just that thing where it seems like they're just there to tick a box. Like, oh, we're doing a power ballad type song. We need to have strings and pianos. Just plonk some on there and call it a day. You know, like none of the instrumentation at all does anything where I'm like, oh wow, epic, amazing, this is great. But like, so the music is at best inoffensive, right? Like nothing detracts from anything, but nothing adds to anything either. It just kind of exists. But like the main criticism for me is the vocals because dear fucking god, they sound horrific. Like the weird
Interesting.
sort of distorted double tracked modulation effect. It just sounds like nails on a fucking chalkboard. I think it's awful. I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand how, like, the last episode, Emergency Telephone, right? That song, you were like, it sounds so shit. It sounds like she's singing in the shower, the notes flat, blah, blah, blah. But then you fucking do this shit. It's like, it fucking
I've-
sounds awful.
okay,
It sounds horrific. It sounds like the fucking Walking Dead, like, screaming zombie sound effect. Like, what the fuck is
Alright.
going on?
Would you describe the song as being a happy song?
No. It just
Okay,
sounds kind
right.
of dreary and depressing. It doesn't
Okay, yeah.
sound very
From
happy at all.
okay, okay, good. Because I was gonna say this song for most people, and including me, it has that sort of very uneasiness sound to it. I heard someone say it sounds like a victory song for something that should never have won, which is a good way to put it.
I can kind of see that, you know.
You were saying like, okay, the guitar, the instruments aren't particularly interesting, and I quickly just put on a song. I was like, yeah, I can see what you mean. But I was thinking, well, yeah, but they don't need to be because the vocals carry it so hard. And then you're like, oh, the vocals are terrible, which is quite funny. I don't know.
I just don't get it. Why are they so distorted? Why are the effects so awful? And even if you take the effects away, right? Some of the notes they sing just sound like some of the high notes genuinely make my ears hurt. Like they're just so like high and grating and nasally and just like oh my god, it makes it took strength to get through 90 seconds of this. I saw that the full version was 5 minutes, and I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
thank fuck you did not give me that. I genuinely don't think I could have sat through that for 5 minutes.
That's
Like,
really interesting because it's one of those things I can't even like. It's one of those interesting things where I can't argue against it because it's so purely subjective. Because in my opinion, vocals are great. Vocals basically what carries a song. They create a really, in my opinion, good sense of that sort of uneasiness. It have a very good way of making it uneasy, but not making you want something more from the song. If that makes sense. A lot of songs try to do a sort of like airy feel, but then they've got nothing like that at the back as a foundation. It kind of feels like you're wanting the song to go somewhere and it never does, which is annoying. This song, at least for me,
yeah.
has that very sort of, it feels complete. It feels like it does what it come to do. It
I guess it's uneasy in the way that the vocals are kind of sour sounding, but that sort of thing just
Do you
really,
wanna-
really
I wonder if you
grates
noticed
on my
this.
ears.
This is still the most surprising thing about the song for me. They're singing English. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that it's not
did-
Japanese.
I did see that the lyrics were in English, but to be honest, I was way too frustrated to even look at the lyrics. I just couldn't like,
Yeah.
and I don't.
Oh, the
right,
gibberish, by the way. They don't. I mean, maybe there's some meaning
Oh,
behind it, but the lyrics are basically just like, "Guy, look, win tomorrow, blow today." It's like, okay, cool.
I don't get what could be gained from this song from watching it over a credit reel. Like again, it's kind of like with the Geometry Dash song from earlier. I did not gain anything from watching a credit sequence over it. For me, a good example of a track that is used as the ending to a show, but is also a good song in its own right, is a song called Backseat by Karina Round, which was
Okay.
the ending song from a sitcom called Fresh Meat about a load of university students. And it's basically the song that plays when one of the students who's a year younger or a year behind everybody else has left, which is just kind of like walking around the empty house. And it's that kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
really big, kind of grand, victorious, but also really sad kind of crescendo moment. I think that
hmm
works really well, both in context as a show, but also as a track. I just really enjoy it. So that's kind of
hmm
where I'm coming from in that kind of area, if that makes sense.
your next song is Vapor by Lockin. This is probably one of the hardest tracks to talk about because it's just, again, like the last one, I like it. It's got that very sort of standard EDM sound to it, if that makes sense. It's not YouTube outro style, which is good, but it does have that very sort of EDM style sound to it. Like I've been saying with the Anamaguchi one and the bass one, but less with the bass one. It's just kind of, I don't know, it needs to do something that makes you go, yeah, I remember this song. If someone says, do you remember that song by that person? You specifically remember that. But it's just got that very sort of, it doesn't have anything super like catchy, but it's not a bad song. Like I say, it's probably one of the hardest ones to talk about. There's nothing wrong with it, if that makes sense. The main foundation is good. Like it's not something, it doesn't get annoying. It's very fun. I don't know. It's just a very standard, fun EDM song. Because of that, it's just a bit too generic for me to be like, yeah, this does something that this EDM song or this EDM song doesn't do. I mean, I might be completely wrong with this, but you were saying that you wanted to cover all your bases and sort of give me songs that fit each thing. This one, at least from my perspective, seems like a very sort of safe pick. It's a pretty hard position to be in because either you don't want to pick something too out there because then I might just go, what the hell is this? I don't like it. But at the same time, if you pick something safe, there's a higher chance of me just being like, yeah, I've heard this.
Your penultimate pick, Stained Brutal Calamity DM DOKURO. There is a lot to give this song credit for because
Yeah.
I think the orchestration sounds fantastic. Like the strings, the drums, the bells, the organs, the choirs, all of it works really, really well, I think. Like it sounds genuinely epic and very, very well recorded. The sound of it and again the sonics of it are very, very well accomplished, I think. It sounds like definitely a fair few steps above, like, your standard orchestral dramatic OST slog. It genuinely has that sense of drama and tension that really, really helps it. So kudos to whoever did the orchestral arrangements on this. When the more rock drum beats and the riffs come in, I do think they fit well. I'll say that. I think they give the track an energy, they give it a force, they give it some momentum, which is good. But and I'd say that there's also some quite impressive like blast beats coming from the drums at various points, and the bass playing is kind of really impressive at points too. Actually, when you get down to listening to some of the runs that the bass is doing. I actually found some of them really, really cool. I do wish the guitars had a bit more prominence in the mix, honestly. Like, they are there, and some of the riffs that they're playing, I guess, are kind of cool, but they just end up being drowned out by the orchestra, if that makes any sense. I do wish it had a bit more, again, a bit more of that low-end punch, kind of going back to what I said about the Ayase track, because I feel like being at least partially a metal track, the drums really have to give that thump to it, in my opinion, and they just sound kind of flat. Like the bass drum doesn't have that kick to it, that thump, that bang that I want personally. Like it just sounds a little bit flat in my opinion, and like the beats it's playing are fine. I just wish it had a bit more force behind it, honestly. When you go beyond the kind of basic instrumental elements, there are a lot of changes on this track that I think are really cool. I think the introduction of a lead vocalist along with the melodic shift at around 4 minutes, that's a genuinely really cool moment, and it kind of adds to the drama and the scale of the track even more, that you've got this really melodic but also really operatic singer coming in and lending to it. I think is a really cool effect. And I think the various builds and crescendos throughout the track are handled very, very well. A lot of the sections on their own are cool. Like again, the vocal switch at 4 minutes, the reintroduction of the choir around maybe 6 minutes, the more kind of slamming drum beats starting at around 9 minutes. Those are all really cool moments. But I did think, given its runtime, that it would have been better suited to a kind of progressive, looser, sort of more fluid structure. Whereas as it is, it feels like, right, this is the first section. Okay, now it's ended. Going into the second section. Okay, now that's ended. Third section. Whereas I feel like longer tracks for me, the ones that I prefer tend to be a bit more kind of freeform and fluid. Whereas this feels very like rigid and regulated. Like there are things like the recurring melodic motifs coming from the choirs and the bells that help to like cohese it a little bit. but in terms of the structure of it, it does feel very kind of deliberate sections A, B, C, D, rather than this kind of big, hulking, dramatic, free flowing monster that I think it wants to be and honestly would benefit from being from, just because it feels very, very compartmentalized. It kind of takes away from that grand presentation. And I'd say as well, as cool as the outro might be with the melodic pianos, it did not need to be 2 minutes long.
I
Like you
agree.
complained about
That's
songs like
that's
doing the
one of my
same thing
biggest
for two
complaints
minutes.
about the song.
Yeah, it genuinely does the exact same thing for 2 minutes.
But with the
Yeah,
structure thing, I know you said it was a personal gripe, but at
yeah,
least for me, it helps it have that sort of dynamic structure of the sort of if you look at each part has crescendos and builds up inside its part, but as a full part, it can work as a build up. So part A would be a build up, 4 minutes is a crescendo, then it goes kind of into another, but then it goes into the sort of like just vocalist, like choir, into the finale, and then the final fall off. I think it does work quite well. I think it would be
yeah,
interesting to see a more free-form piece, but personally, I don't mind
yeah.
structure. It also helps break it up because it is that long. You need sort of like style switches, in my opinion, to not make it boring.
Yeah. Musically, this track's pretty damn awesome. Like some great melodic ideas, fantastic orchestrations, some really nice drum beats and bass playing. A lot of my issues with this track are really just structural and mix based.
Your next song, talk about structure and stuff, is Slipknot. It's interesting because with the 8 minute song, I was saying like, oh, it's an 8 minute song. It's hard to remember each specific part of the 8 minute song. This one is, I like it harder because just I was talking to Patrick. As I always said, I was basically saying, oh, quite a lot of these songs have the sort of like a foundation and just build off that, and it can be good. It does make, it was mainly talking about string theory at the time and a little bit Bozuku GF, and I was like, holy shit, this is cool. It's weird again, like the short feels good one. It's not a style like the sort of, especially the rock parts. It feels just like loads of different sections put together. It's very interesting. And then it like I think it's like 2 minutes. It goes into the sort of like very guitar funky stuff, which I really quite like. The only problem about this song, I think, is it's too different to the point where I'd be very interested to see who listens to this because it's so all over the place. It's like you've got jazzy guitar into just full like rock sort of thing, back to
Yeah,
jazzy guitar, back to like sort of funky stuff, I guess, and then again like rock guitar as well at the end, and it's like very fun to listen to as someone who likes songs that switch it up a lot. It's definitely not a song I'd listen to, and I'd be interested to see who listens to it. It's something just in my like playlist having it. It's one of those like experience songs. You listen to it once or twice, you go, shit, this is cool, and it's very impressive how seamlessly they're able to pull it off. A lot of songs that try this sort of like switch up style, the structure feels quite weird. It's like, why have we gone from this to that to this to that sort of thing? This song is able to somehow manage to do like rock into just funky guitar, back to rock, back to funky guitar really well, which is very surprising. There's another song that
yeah.
does it, and I can't remember what it is now, and that's annoying me. But yeah, it's a very, very, very good song. It's definitely, like I said, it's like an experience song. You listen to it and then you go, "Cool, that was cool." But I'd be very surprised if I would listen to this in my free time, sort of thing. All
Your
right.
final one, Flashlights in the Forest, Palfu and Haylog. This is probably my favourite Palfu song.
That's
I
good.
would say
I'm
this.
happy.
It's
Patrick said it was the worst song he'd ever heard. So I was
oh
like,
my god, right. Okay.
yeah,
It's okay, it's not perfect, right? But
I agree.
it does have a hell of a lot of positives to it. So for starters, I think that the really, again, really psychedelic, dreamy melodies in the beat work nicely to create that really enveloping, warm, kind of psychedelic vibe with the subtle guitars kind of going along with it as well. And I think plus the drums actually have that low end thump that I've been looking for this whole time. Like they have a bit of bass presence to them, which is great, I think. Instrumentally, I didn't really have any complaints whatsoever. Like the fact that it basically did the same thing the entire time didn't really bother me at all because the ideas that it was playing with were great anyway. So, that's fine in my book. And I'd say vocally as well, this has to be like Palfu's best chorus that I've heard him do. Like the refrains, not only are they catchy as hell, but like they're also really emotive and really passionate in a way that I haven't really heard from him before. And I'd say it's just a shame really that his rap delivery is in the kind of same whiny cadence that he's always done, which just kind of isn't for me. And it doesn't take away from how strong the melodic ideas are, but it is kind of a shame to go from like, whoa, these melodies are amazing, to just like, same rap stuff there. Oh, whoops, you know. But it's not too bad. I'll say this, and I'd say while the lyrics once again for this kind of style are the sort of standard heartbroken, like, oh, I hope this relationship works out. I really do. Oh, I'm sad, you know, kind of. I do think that some of the imagery is really cool, like some of the darker imagery, like some of the, like, you know, followed by hounds in flashlights, or puddles of acid, or like reference to caves and stuff like that. I do think it's used in quite a compelling way, despite the fact that there are a few cringy ones in there, like "Hope when I die I'll be hearing your music." Like that it just sounds
There's
like a
one I didn't hear for
2006.
so long, but the fact that in the last verse the dude says something like eating shit and eating piss, and then ad-libs piss is very funny.
Oh yeah, I did catch that. I thought that was very, very odd. The lyrics aren't great, but some of the imagery in them is really cool. Like some of the darker imagery is really cool and quite compelling. Haylog's feature is where my real main conflict comes in, because some of his melodies are really, really great. And again, like Palfield, really passionate, really emotive. You can really tell that he's putting a lot of emphasis and emotion into these. But the vibrato effect on his voice is so overdone. It just sounds completely goofy, and in my opinion, absolutely, it ruins his feature. Like his melodies are fantastic, but the amount of fucking vibrato is just like
I was
unforgivable. Like
this
it
was the
sounds like he's
main
doing the
thing
fucking
of the song I
SpongeBob
was.
like neck wobbly, like
Yeah,
and even having a vibrato effect isn't bad. Like Post Malone has used it very effectively on some of his tracks, but just the fucking amount of it is just way, way, way too much. If you made this track entirely melodic, right, took out the rap verse and maybe had him sing that bit as well, and take some of the vibrato off of Haylog's vocals, I would have close to no complaints. Those are literally my
interesting.
only complaints about the song,
I
aside
I'm
from some of the lyrics being a bit
all
cringe.
right.
Followed by sounds in the night, followed by hounds and flashlights, waiting for morning to
Your last song, Denver Luna by
Oh,
Underworld. This is the song I've been alluding to the song quite a lot when I've been talking about songs. This is the song that I was listening to with earphones when, damn, I really wish what my complaint was going to be, damn, I really wish they'd have some slightly punchier bass because they've been building up for so long and they feel super airy, and I want there just to be something a bit more punchy. And then listening to my headphones, I was like, oh, it has punchy bass kind of. It's still not deep and fulfilling as I'd like it to be, but it's a lot more there than it sounded like. Similar to the last one, it's kind of like an experience to listen to, similar sort of vibe. Unlike the last one, I would definitely understand and get the sort of listening experience and keeping this in a playlist and listening to it. Manages to build up so well, I will say. The part of 6 minutes where it switches from the more not standard, but a sort of, snary drums and guitar, and then it just slowly, really subtly just changes into the sort of more atmospheric, airy style. And like, I remember thinking it was kind of more spacey. It feels weird because it's such a long song. I feel like I should be like, oh, 2 minutes, this was good. 4 minutes, this was good. 6 minutes, this was good. But realized, well, like I said, 6 minutes, it was good because that's when the thing happens. But it manages to have such a like a slow, steady build up that just keeps you sort of like mildly interested, but not like super, super sort of like it's not breathtaking by any means. But then at 6 minutes, I remember just listening to it for the first time, just going, everything kind of pays off so nicely, if that makes sense. And then the rest of the song is really good because it was originally in that last 2 minutes. I was like, why build up for this long and then keep it really airy and then not pay off a little bit more with the like lower ends? It's been so like middle to top ends that it like at least something in the low ends. But then I realized, okay, my headphones were just, or the earphones just weren't picking up the bass as well as it
yeah.
should be. And the bass in that last section is still, I still wish it had a little bit more sort of like lower ends to it and had a bit more thumpiness, because it really does build up for so long and then have this really good like grand moment at like 6-ish minutes where they go from the sort of more like spacey atmospheric. But I do kind of wish it went a bit more with the lower ends because it just. I went into the song because I'd already heard the acapella song with a sort of. I was kind of went into it with like I kind of already know what style the song's going to be like. It's 8 minutes long, so I'm gonna have to sit through 8 minutes of this. I was like, okay, And then I was like, okay, never mind. The payoff is actually really, really good. Knowing that was coming at some point, I was like, when are they gonna do? Like, I was like thinking, the song's quite a different style, at least from what I remember, because I hadn't listened to acapella in ages. I was like, I swear this is more like it felt more like airy and spacey, and it just doesn't really have the same style. And then I was like, oh, and then when it started, I was like, oh, this part. And I was like, oh, wow. One other thing about the song, you were saying that the vocals felt more like sounds rather than vocals. Does that make sense? I agree quite a lot. It kind of reminds me of really old house songs when it was quite obviously. Maybe it did, but at least on the songs, it sounded like he didn't really know English that well because a lot of the songs made zero sense or made very little sense, and it was just like, but just the sound of the words was enough to make the song still very good, even if the actual song have basically no meaning or like certain lyrics you're like, what does that mean?
So now we've come to the time in the show where we each give our collective batches a rating for the other person. So I will let you go first, my friend.
Ooh, this is hard because as I've said with a lot of the songs, apart from one,
Yeah.
they're all not bad. But most of the songs are good. There isn't any standouts. There isn't anything except maybe Sure Feels Good and True Romance. Actually, there isn't anything like super standy out that like makes me go like, oh yeah, this is something I instantly love, instantly like. I initially thought this. My opinions kind of changed. I initially, as a sort of meta thought that the because each song was picked as a sort of like to fit each like area, if that makes sense. Like to cover all your bases, you're saying that each song was quite not bland, but just quite basic. But after listening to it again and again, there's definitely like, for example, Sure Feels Good. Crypto Amnesia is actually quite interesting for what it is. For just the fact that it is just a bass song, it does it quite well. True Romance is a very good pop song. It feels bad to give it a lower rating since I've actually enjoyed quite a lot of the songs. But at the same time, it's not something I can give like a really high rating because I didn't super enjoy any of the songs. But a 7 feels a bit too high. A 6.5 just feels a bit too low though. I don't know, like maybe 6.8 or something. 6.75, I guess. Oh, I know what. I'll give it a 6.66, a solid 2/3.
And I'd say for yours, I'm in much of a similar situation because a lot of my opinions on these songs are so mixed. It's difficult to come to a consensus. Like some of the songs had stuff that I really liked, but also had stuff that I wasn't so much of a fan of. I might just go dead 6. I was trying to think, could I go 6.3, 6.4, and then I was like, no. But do I want to go 5.9? Not really, no.
So we're very
Compromise
similar
for me, I
then.
think.
Because for me, it was in between 6 and 7. And then I went 6.5 and I went, 6.5.
Thank you very much for joining me, my friend. I'm glad we actually got to record it this time because I wasn't a fucking oaf primarily. But yes, it was really interesting having you on for this because, again, it's one of those things where you're just impossible to pin down in terms of what you'll like, what you won't. I feel like even if we did 20 episodes of this, I still wouldn't have much of a clue. But I think that's what makes it good, you know?
Yeah. With you, I think it's more that I mean, the way I do this usually is more of a sort of, here's the music I like, do you like it too? But it would be interesting to try and deliberately pick one or two things that specifically pick to suit your music taste.
That's always what I try to do, like really try to get people to be like, yeah, I like this. Often I disastrously fail, which is funny, but sometimes I don't. And so I feel like this one has been a good kind of mix of both. So it's been a good one, this. Thank you all very much for watching as well. And just before we head off, have you got anything that you'd like to plug?
I guess just the YouTube channel, Cyndaquil42. I'm really hoping by the time this is out, I should have done it. But yeah, I'm currently trying to beat a new hardest on Geometry Dash. So I'm hopefully will have beaten that. But if I haven't, that's a massive skill issue on my part. But if you want to go watch some completions of Geometry Dash levels, sometimes with Patrick saying stuff like, oh, I probably can't say that, can I? Never mind. Patrick saying questionable stuff in the videos. Then you can go watch those, I guess.
Well, I'll put a link to it in the description. Yeah, do go check them out because his skills are absolutely mental. Thank you very much for coming on, my friend. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you all later.